Are you ready? Hey, everybody, this is Eric.
And I'm Daryl.
Welcome to the Automotive Podcast that's sending you an audio Valentine.
Aw. On this episode of Throwin Wrenches.
Love is in the air, Daryl. Unless you're Nissan.
Oh, I see. Mazda has a record year.
Got cargo? Rivian has you covered.
All that and more on this episode of Throwin Wrenches.
Let's go, girls.
Well, I didn't see that coming, Daryl. I got to admit.
The Shania? The Shania train?
I think we should have like a Russian roulette of themes.
I like it.
So you don't know which one's coming next.
Yeah, the listeners will love it too, I'm sure. Let us know, info@throwinwrenches.com. What should we toss into our next theme song?
Yeah, because you didn't send me any notes in the Spotify comments this last week.
None?
Yeah, none. None, Daryl.
It's okay.
I mean, we did get some emails from Todd, so I appreciate that. That's a listener, that's involved.
Yeah.
But the rest of you slackers, well, you're lucky I even came tonight to record, okay?
He's such a bully, isn't he, folks?
No, actually, if you're on Spotify, and I tell you what, iTunes is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Obviously, most people listen to the show on iTunes, and a lot of people listen to it on YouTube now. But Spotify does have some neat features with polls and some comments, so I try and throw some of that stuff out there. So if you're a Spotify listener, while you're listening to the show, just check in there and let us know you're hearing it on Spotify.
Yeah, we do appreciate you listening, and however you do enjoy the show, we're glad you're with us.
Yeah. Do you know Daryl Scott?
Uh-oh.
I know Daryl Scott. Do you want to know about Daryl Scott?
Probably.
Actually, there's nothing to tell about Daryl Scott because it's downright chilly outside. So you know that the Auto Museum in North Peoria is in cold storage. Did Punxsutawney Phil see his shadow this last week? Will the museum open up 6 weeks early? Or did Phil tell him to take a few more weeks off?
He told me to take a few weeks off. It's cold. It's mighty cold out.
Do you have a heater in the garage?
No.
Oh,
no.
You need like an overhead heater in there.
I need like a flamethrower in there is what I need because it's, yeah.
You need a salamander.
That would be nice. Is that like the restaurant one?
No, it's like that low boy with the kerosene in it. It looks like the Wienermobile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about now.
And they stink up the place and fill it with soot.
I heard salamander. I thought that's like the thing you put like your cheese fries under the glow lamp or whatever at the restaurant. They always call those salamanders.
Did they?
I think so.
Okay, all right.
You
and I are on different planes of
Two
reality.
different wavelengths. For those who don't know my co-host, I'll keep this short and sweet. My co-host, well, what about him? Booking.com uses him to plan their trips. He's the frequent flyer known as Mr. Eric Stahl.
Oh, thank you.
That's all I got.
That's okay.
You're booking stuff left and right.
Dude, it's so cheap.
It is?
I don't know. I mean,
how do you what's the best place to book? It's not direct. If you're booking a trip somewhere.
No. So, and to be fair, there's no secrets for me. It's just
Club Med?
No.
Apple Vacations?
Expedia is where I go for if you book hotels and airfare at the same time.
Yeah.
You usually get a lot of package deals that way.
Okay.
And this time we're going to Mexico City. So
heck yes.
Yeah.
Last time you were in Mexico was what? 3 years ago? 4 years?
2021. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny.
That wasn't a plan. It was something like...
That was greatvaluevacations.com. And I'm not getting paid for that one, by the way.
No?
But no, we booked airfare and hotels and a rental car. And if you do the package deal most often,
yeah,
you'll get a heck of a deal if you do it that way. So we're doing Mexico City this time. We're flying down on Wednesday night. We're flying back on Sunday. And it's such a deal. It's crazy.
That'd be good.
But it is February in Mexico City. So I love the fact that we were in Rome on Thanksgiving. I'm going to spend Valentine's Day in Mexico City.
That's how much you love your blushing bride.
Yeah.
And it's just you and her, right?
Just us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Aiden. If Aiden could figure out a way, and he could, I mean, I never know. He may show up unannounced. But
stowaway stuff. Didn't the woman just get busted for being a stowaway on like an Air France flight or something?
I don't know. I knew somebody died. They fell out of like the landing gear of a plane.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
No, she didn't do that. I think they did bust some. Like she landed and they were unloading the plane and she's just like in the belly of the plane.
Oh, jeez.
Like, how'd you get here?
There's got to be easier ways.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. The most famous stowaway, of course, was
the kid in Miami. No.
No. No. I know where you're going with that one.
Janet Reno's nemesis.
Yeah.
So was that kid? I can't remember.
I don't know. He's probably like 52 now.
Right?
He's probably so old. Anyways, where are we going? Oh, yeah, sponsors.
Yeah, let's talk about sponsors. Forts Toyota, they've been there since the beginning. Forts Toyota Pekin, you can find them on the web at www.toyota-pekin.com. There you'll find all their new cars, their used cars, and inventory is coming in pretty good right now. They got some great RAV4s on the lot. And, man, I tell you what, we got the new Signa, the Crown Signa.
Yeah, it's like the SUV crossover deal.
Dude, totally an amazing car. If you're looking like for a German wagon, because German wagons, let's face it, possibly one of the coolest cars. If you're in that middle age range and you're looking for a car that performs but has all the luxuries, I'm going to tell you the Crown Signa, let's just throw a little made in Japan dash in that and have all the reliability of a Japanese car with all the cool tech. Yeah, I'll take that wagon.
And 40-something miles per gallon.
Yes.
Right?
Hybrid.
Are they all hybrids?
Hybrid all-wheel drive. Yeah, take that.
Perfect.
So the Crown Signa, the way to go. You can find them on all the socials at Forts Toyota, or I think I found one the other day. It was at Toyota Pekin, but I don't know which one that was. But, yeah, we don't do much TikTok. We do a lot
do
of
some Instagram.
The Graham stories.
Yeah.
Okay. Poll, everybody. I'll put this as a poll.
Okay.
Do you like lots of stories, or do you rather people just post?
If I had to throw my name out there, I would. I'm not a big stories guy,
so
I just like posts, straight posts.
Okay,
that I can.
But how many
posts
scroll. Are too many posts? Because the stories you can really just go crazy and just throw 3 or 4 stories out a day.
Yeah.
But if only 50 or 60 people are watching them, then maybe you should just do full up posts.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. You have to look at the engagement metrics.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you're watching Forts Toyota on the Instagram, you'll see they do lots of stories, and we're doing lots of engine recalls right now. So those Tundra engines are totally fun, and they totally are grammable. So I love taking little videos of those things. So
yeah. What happens to the old Tundra motors? I'm asking for a friend.
Dude, it's like Fort Knox.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's a whole process, and you wrap these things up, and you put them in the container, and you do it by the book.
Like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Seriously.
In a crate.
Yes.
Top men.
Yes. They come with a crate. It's top men. Top men are on it.
Yeah.
Part of us kind of hope we were drilling holes in them and taking pictures, but Toyota wants every one of those back.
Are they going to rebuild them?
I doubt it, but I think there's just so much. This is a lot of money for these motors, and it's just rife with the possibility of somebody just making engines and making hot rods, right?
That's maybe where my head was going.
Yeah,
is you get a twin turbo 400-some horse motor,
and even if you had to like
cool.
weld the block back together and fix some stuff up, yeah, you could do it. You
sure.
could. Where there's a will, there's a way.
How about this? How about okay, I'm not saying do anything illegal. But if one of those happened to fall off a truck and make its way into, I don't know, like a mid-'80s SR5 or something, maybe that might be kind of fun.
Dude.
Oh,
that engine is amazing, by the way. That's fine. I got a towel. That engine is amazing, and it's smooth, and it's powerful, and in anything built by Toyota in the last 25 years would blow the doors off.
Be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're used to cars that pump out 130 horsepower, and then you throw something that throws 400 out.
What would you pick if you were to pick an oddball, like not rat rod, but like an oddball car to put that newer Tundra motor and drivetrain into? What would it be?
Oh, that's a good question.
I got one in mind, but go ahead.
What would be fun is like first generation Solara or something like that, or even a second gen like yours.
Yeah,
because that car is actually very sleek looking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it could throw down. I mean, but the problem is the drivetrain. Those are all front wheel drive cars, so that it makes me think I have to do something with all wheel drive. And if you could find a Venza, and there's lots of Venzas with 4 cylinders that burn oil like crazy. Yeah, if you could just throw that engine in one of those,
just toss it in there.
Oh God,
make some just all wheel drive burnout machine.
Yes.
How about a Cressida? How about like a late 80s Cressida?
The problem I have with the Cressida is the suspension wasn't really made for. It's like the old Supra. It's like the Mark IV Supra. The Mark IV Supra is amazingly fast in a straight line. Mm-hmm. Cressida, it's got the 1JZ. It's got a ton of power. It's got potential, but when you go around a turn, the suspension was never made. I mean, it was on 14-inch tires that were like 60 sidewalls. So even if you were to try and shrink that stuff down and try and proportion it and stiffen the suspension.
Not so much.
No, I think something in the 2000s would be a wider platform, a better platform for a big horsepower engine.
Yeah, I guess so.
I saw a guy who took they took a MR2 engine from a JDM car with a turbo, and they put an all-wheel drive system from a Celica into like a first-gen RAV4, kind of like my daughter's.
Uh-huh.
And they made a hot rod out of the thing. It was like pumping out 400 horsepower. It was a burnout machine.
It was cool.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. But they had to lower the RAV to do it, and just
I don't know.
At some point, it's like how much work is legitimately needed to have fun versus what could you have fun out of the box.
Yeah, no, it's time and effort.
It is.
It is cool to see. Like, it seems like a lot of the import folks and specifically Toyota guys, like they're still out hot rodding stuff. Case in point, I just saw for sale a Maserati biturbo, like the 80s little Italian.
Where did you
car.
see that for sale?
Marketplace, and most of them have either blown motors or they don't run at all, and they're a nightmare. But they're a beautiful car. The interior is gorgeous, all Italian leather. It's a cool platform, but it's like not with that garbage motor set up.
Yeah.
And some guy wrote a whole article on like swapping in. Was it a 1UZ out of a Lexus?
Yeah.
Lexus V8, and some sort of 5 or 6 speed trans that he cobbled together, and he put that in that car. And he's like, think about it. It's like the bulletproof Lexus V8, Toyota V8.
Yeah.
In this Italian sports car. He's like, it's the best of everything. It also took him like $14,000 worth of work to do.
Yes. I mean, so I think the one thing about that RAV4 build was that everything actually bolted up in place because the mid-90s MR2 and the Celica from that generation, those cars were all built at the same factory in Japan. The Celica was the original spawning platform for the RAV4, so all the suspension components, everything for the drivetrain just married right in.
Or close enough.
Yes,
right?
exactly. And the MR2 engine, MR2s, I don't know where they were actually built, but they were from that same genre and those same engines, so it probably is set right on the same engine mounts, right?
That's actually pretty smart.
Yeah. But that doesn't happen that well anymore. Anyway, that's the longest intro ever for Fort's Toyota Pekin. Make sure you check them out on the web again at www.toyota-pekin.com. Also, remember, Central Illinois SCCA, Sports Car Club of America, I had our executive meeting this last week. There will be 3 race weekends in Peoria this year. So follow along at CIR-SCCA.org, I think is their URL.
Okay.
I should know that in our big fancy note document here, Daryl. But
that's all good.
You can also follow them on Instagram at CIR-SCCA. That's Central Illinois Region SCCA. If you want to do some racing, we want to do some fun, we're coming back with a vengeance this year. And I'll be involved a little bit this year. Last year, they picked the one weekend where I was at a family reunion.
That's okay.
That's what happens.
That's all right.
Anyway.
It's always next year.
Yeah. All right, Patreon folks. Got to thank them. Sorry. We drug this on very long. But Patreon folks got like maybe the best pre-show they've had in maybe years, Daryl.
I mean, it's a bold statement, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Oh,
we didn't even talk about movies.
We did. No, we actually didn't. We talked about food.
We talked about the Oscars for a split second.
A little bit.
But we never even named a movie, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
Grammy.
Wow. Maybe our best pre-shows don't involve movies.
Maybe not.
But I did mention Chapel Roan, so maybe our best pre-shows mention Chapel Roan.
I don't think so.
Is
but
that like
maybe
the syllogism method? Just because I said something and it was our best, that means it's always going to be our best.
You just will it to happen. You manifested it. I'm tired of hearing that one.
I'm not that big of a Chapel Roan fan. I'm just saying her name because I like saying Chapel Roan.
It sounds like a town. It sounds like a town in New England.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was more like North Carolina.
That's Chapel Hill. Not to be confused with Blueberry Hill, which was a different song.
Also, if you're not a Patreon member, you can certainly listen to this amazing pre-show if you're an iTunes Premium member, so certainly sign up for that. It is a bargain. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for commenting, and thanks for reviewing. We always appreciate all that stuff. I see it, so if you do it, I will read it. Make sure that happens. We move on to the first section of the show, Daryl, as we always do, projects.
Yeah. What do you got in the hopper?
So Angela's birthday was in January, so I bought her a big rubber bumper for her horse trailer. And then I didn't touch it for a month, because that's what you do when you get your wife a birthday present, right?
Yeah, you leave it in the box and be like, yeah, I'll get around to doing that for you.
Yeah, eTrailer.com for $189. She's had this horse trailer for like 15 years. I think I drove my Kubota in four-wheel drive onto it so many times that without ramps because it's 4-wheel drive. I can do that. But in the meantime, it's like ripping the rubber hide off of the. I did that. I admit it.
That's okay.
Yeah. So I got an e-trailer, and it's so funny because 10 years ago I would have called the trailer place, and this is why society is failing. I would have called Rawlings Trailer Sales, which has now gone out of business probably because of people like me. And I would have said, hey, I need a rubber bumper installed for my wife's trailer. And they would have said, yeah, okay, we can do that for $250. I would have been like, okay. But instead, I get on e-trailer. I order the piece of rubber for $189.
Yeah.
And it shows up. It weighs like 300 pounds. And I go outside, take the old one off, put the new one on, cut it to length because it was just a little bit, it was actually like 8 inches too long. The bolts all married up, everything back to normal.
That's a good match.
And now she has a brand new bumper on there. I'm like, look at me. I'm a man now. I did a little project.
Did you pat yourself on the back there?
She actually tonight was very happy with me.
Aww.
I felt like if you didn't come over, something special might happen to me tonight.
Well, you should have called and said, yeah, can we do this another night?
There's a sock on the door, Daryl. Can you leave?
It's the rubber bumper thing. I would have said, what are you talking about?
Well, it wasn't. I don't think she was that excited. I'm sure she would argue the point anyway.
That's all right. That's all right.
The only other project I got going on, so we had a customer come in the other day. He bought a 2005 X-Runner from us, brand new at the dealership back in 2005. X-Runner was the 4-liter V6 in a lowered, kind of a stock lowered suspension 2-wheel drive Tacoma. They never came in 4-wheel drive. And they all had 6-speed manual transmissions. They had crossbars on the mid and the rear of the truck for suspension stiffness, and they came with low-profile tires and a little bit wider bucket, the deep dish rims.
Nice stance. I remember when those came out, I thought they were, you did a double take. You're like, that's kind of cool.
They were unique, and I'm just trying to think at that time. I mean, the Ford Lightning has always been a thing, but I'm not sure Nissan or anybody else really did it. Did Chevy have a little race truck?
Chevy had the S10 Extreme, if you remember that.
Okay.
It was the ZQ8 package, if you're an RPO nerd like me, which there's 2 people out there. But yes, they had, it's the lowered, and I guess Ranger had one too that was like this, not the Splash, well, the Splash.
Okay.
They had like a sporty Ranger too, I can't remember.
The X-Runner, I was talking to Regan about this, and Regan was talking about how when they launched the X-Runner, they put him on a test track up in Chicago, and he goes, Eric, that truck's going to be fast. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, no, I'm serious. He goes, they put us with a trade driver, which they do at a lot of these course stuff when they release a new car. And he said, I was in the passenger seat, and he got into what do you call a loop that gets smaller and smaller? There's a term for it. Sorry, my race knowledge at the second isn't here with me.
That's all right. That's all right.
But anyway, it's a turn that gets tighter and tighter as you get into it. And Regan said, as this driver was driving the X-Runner, that he was sitting in the passenger seat, he said, my helmet rested up against the window on the passenger side. He said, I could not get my head away from the passenger window.
Couldn't move it. It's like like John Glenn or whatever, like the NASA test where you're in that centrifuge.
Yeah. But he's like, that truck's going to be a ton of fun. So, dude, the truck was roached. I mean, the guy had given it to his kids to drive.
Big mistake.
And there's not a piece of metal on this truck that isn't dented, and then every rocker panel, the X-Runner came with something like body moldings and stuff like that were like lower to the ground, missing, broken. The grill's broken, tailgate's missing, interior's all funked out. Truck is just spent. We literally and the clutch was spent. That's why the guy brought it in.
Oh, slipping.
And the rear brakes were just grinding on metal. Got it from him for $500. And to be fair, as rough as it was, I mean, if that truck were like in running condition and the clutch were operating, the truck is $5,000 or $6,000, dented up like it was.
Yeah.
But this truck's not running. It looks terrible.
It's it's a parts truck at this point.
Yeah. So I gave him $500, and then we put a clutch in it. And we're just praying that it runs right. We knew it started. Anyway, got a new clutch in it. Manny down at Pekin machined the flywheel, which had lots of heat cracks in it. You've never seen one so heat cracked, but he milled it.
So the thing's been burning for a while.
Oh, yeah. You should have seen the clutch. I'll share the picture maybe in this post so you can see it. Just nice, just big chunks of puffy clutch material all over the place. And we got it fixed, got the clutch on it, and then Dustin and I, one of the technicians, went out and did donuts in it, like for its test drive.
Go break it in. Poor thing.
Dude, I have not smiled that hard or laughed that hard. I was just like, this is great. Engine runs flawlessly.
Yeah.
Got the brakes fixed, obviously, but the truck still looks like a turd.
Yeah.
So I gave Pat Ford a grocery list, basically eBay and Amazon, of just every total China part, even an LED light-up grill that like swirls Toyota on the front of it.
Oh, gross.
And halo headlights, and we are going to pimp that thing out.
Really?
I really, did I mention really want to get that thing to SCCA this year? With one of my techs or two of my techs. I want
Would you do like a goofy wrap on it?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't. Yeah.
The gears are turning?
Yeah. Oh, no. Believe me. I'm going to do something with it. So,
All right.
yeah.
That actually sounds fun. Part of me, the purist in me is like, well, can't you save it? But if this thing's already been around the block and been beat, it sounds like it'd be a fun...
The frame is good. That's good news.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like it'd be fun, like an autocross rig to just play around with.
Yeah. I think this truck would be more fun to drive than the Supra on autocross.
Really?
It's a manual transmission.
Yeah.
And that 4-liter with the amount of weight that's on, which I don't know those ratios right now, it feels very light with the clutch. I mean, it'll get up and go.
Okay.
Put the right tires on it. I think we have a ton of fun with this thing.
Good.
And this gets back to initiating new technicians in the business. Because some of these younger guys are in their 20s who want to race. I think this will be a great time.
Yeah, it's that entry level way to get their seat time on something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
So,
very cool.
It's
well,
a lot
congrats.
cheaper than a $50,000 Supra.
Yeah, there's a lot more margin for error there. It's like, I curbed it.
Yeah,
no problem.
Whoops, broke a wheel bearing. Yeah, well, $300 as opposed to, $1,000. So.
Absolutely. Good deal.
Yeah, so that's all we got going on. And, like I said, it is wintertime. Winter has checked in and out on us a couple times here. We got fall, spring, but it's back to winter tonight when you showed up.
Yeah. It was nice. We had a couple 60-degree days there. It was like, this is not that far off. But it's still pretty far off.
It still is. I did walk out to my car today. It was 26 degrees. I had my jacket unzipped, no gloves on, hopped in my car. The heat, I didn't pre-warm it, didn't even run the remote start.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's how you know you've become acclimated to winter.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of February, and here I am at 26 degrees with no gloves on, just driving to work.
Real American genius. No, you know what's... I think we're at that point now in our lives, too. We're like, does the cold really bother you that much?
Yeah, I hate it.
Seriously?
Yeah, when I go to bed at night, I want to be warm.
Do you have a little heated blanket?
Yeah. I have a heated mattress pad because I refuse to be cold at night.
Do you sleep with a stocking cap like Ebenezer?
I might. Yeah. No, I don't. But
full PJs. I always looked at those.
Shut up, Daryl.
I looked at those old movies and I'm like, those guys look like doofuses. And then, when it was 9 below zero, I was doing the same thing, and I had like a little hat, and Sarah's like, "Are you comfy?" I'm like, "Yes." I got all tucked in, and I'm like, "What have I become?"
When I go camping, I sleep with a stocking cap on, especially in winter camping for sure.
Oh yeah,
pulled over my ears. It's down to my eyebrows. Almost. Yeah, yeah.
In your foil sleeping bag, looking like a burrito from a taqueria.
Hey, everything I learned was from Naked and Afraid. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, what's going on up there in the Auto Museum in North Peoria?
Absolutely nothing.
That's not possible.
No, it's true. I've got absolutely nothing. I keep ordering stuff and just throwing it on the workbench. That's what I'm doing. But no, honestly, nothing. It's been super cold, and I have not had any motivation to do anything really. So. Yeah, unfortunately that. I still have gone back and forth. Of course, the whole tariffs thing, I don't want to go into that, but there's part of me that was still on the fence about trying to order a diesel heater for the garage.
You were talking about that.
Yeah, I was all about it, and I almost did because they were down to on Amazon. The one I was looking at was called the H Calorie, and it was a 8 kilowatt one. I forget all the specs, but it was like a decent one. Came pretty highly recommended. It was down to like 140 something. I was like,
that's cheap.
Yeah, I should have
didn't buy it.
No, I should have because I think
price
they're
go
$300 now. But I don't need it. I'm not going to work out there in the winter. I'm just not. I don't think so. Cold bothers me.
I get that. I don't know. I think about this, Daryl. If you didn't pack that garage so tight in the fall. Mm-hmm. Do you think you might spend more time out there if you kept 2 cars outside and you had enough room to walk around one car and work on it?
No, and I do have that room now because I bought a shed.
The she shed. So you could move the mower. Okay.
and everything else.
Okay.
Snowblower. Like, I've got so much stuff that is now like in its rightful
I haven't
place.
been over to see the shed. I got to see the concrete pad. That's how important of a friend I am to Daryl.
Wow. You can come anytime. And then there's part of you too, like that. Now I'm thinking in the spring, do I need to focus on organizing the shed? And do I need to get build shelves in there? And I'm like, no, I'm just that's gonna be a thing for a while. I'm just gonna
write
dump
she
stuff
shed over the top, and it's Sarah's responsibility.
She's already got plans. She's already got stuff. She's like, I want to put some stuff from the house in there, like stuff that we have under the stairs.
You didn't get enough square footage, my friend.
No, it's ridiculous. So we're gonna have to. I think my wife and I need to have a talk of seriously paring down and donating. We don't need 5 Christmas trees in bags and storage.
We have 5 crock pots upstairs.
5?
Do you think I'm going to get in that fight?
Well, it depends on how much dip you like.
Super Bowl's coming. I doubt we'll even get one of those fired up, okay?
Buffalo chicken. You got a crab dip in this one. You got casserole in this one. I don't know. But no, that's what I got going on. I got nothing, and now you've got me thinking about food in a crock pot.
Dip. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
It's going to be Kansas City again.
No.
No, I don't want it to be. You don't want it to be.
No, I want...
America doesn't want it. Well, some of America.
Some, yeah. Like this small section of Kansas City.
Yeah, people on the wrong side of history is what I like to call them. But no, I don't. I think, unfortunately, that's where we're going to end up with another Kansas City victory.
I don't know anything about either of these teams other than Patrick Mahomes because he's in every State Farm commercial. Other than that, I don't know squat about either of these teams. As far as I know, Randall Cunningham is still the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles.
What year is it?
It's 1994.
How many fingers am I holding up? Now, let me ask you this, too. Have you seen every Super Bowl ad already? Because they leaked those.
No, I don't even watch it.
Stupid.
TV with commercials, man. I can't watch that stuff. Although I'm thinking about canceling my Netflix. That's a whole other conversation for a pre-show.
Yeah, definitely. That's come up in our household in the last 2 weeks
I think I'm going to cancel. This is the sweet setup right now, Daryl.
What's that?
Cancel Netflix and go to YouTube Premium. Because I'm sick of the commercials on YouTube, but I watch a lot more YouTube than I do Netflix now.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I do the same. Yeah. Netflix is garbage now, and we'll talk about it definitely in the next pre-show because I'm going to get on a soapbox.
All right. That's enough about the projects, which Daryl Scott has nothing going. I mean, even the car club, you guys got plans, got some stuff going on?
We're mapping out the year. We had a big board meeting where we tried to map out events for the year, planning tours. We're going to try to do more tours this year, including some overnight ones.
I kind of talked about that too. Anyway, Daryl and I have talked about doing our own tour at some point. So
yes, I know.
It's going to happen. Maybe it'll be our coup de grace. It'll be like our episode 500.
Yeah, we finally plan a trip.
Yeah, Eric's in hospice.
Right. We're sitting in one of those buses, you know, like Victory Lakes retirement home bus.
Yeah, no, there'll be like other people
it's a tour.
They were great podcasters. We just want to do it for these guys before they kick the bucket.
You know what? I do want. We do our car club. Occasionally, we'll get calls from assisted living, and they're like, "Hey, would you guys want to bring a couple cars and do a little show and tell for some of the residents, bring back memories?" I'm like, "Oh, that sounds great." And every one of those that we've done, it's been hotter than hell outside.
Yeah.
And people can't go outside because it's I can't be in the sun, or it's 98 degrees. And so it's mostly us in the parking lot sweating and getting sunburned.
Yeah.
And everyone else is inside eating
I think I joined you guys for one of those one time. And I don't know.
Was that the one?
It was up at that place up in North Peoria.
Of 91.
Yeah, but you guys had the military truck up there and stuff.
That was brutal. That's
it was hot. It was hot. And of course, all these new nursing homes and retirement homes have no trees because it's all
no.
There's 10-foot redbuds parked, planted around the place. That's it.
Yep. Now, there was one, I guess I didn't go to this one because the other thing, too, is a lot of times they'll do it on a weekday when, I'm working or other people are.
Shame on you.
Yeah. But I guess this one, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was in Pekin. They're like, hey, do the thing. And so everybody came over, displayed their cars, and then a groundskeeping crew came over, landscapers, and they're like, we're going to mow here. And they're like, no, there's cars you can't, you're going to kick up rocks and twigs and stuff. And they're like, yeah, we're mowing. And so they started mowing and blew a bunch of stuff over a bunch of our,
no.
Yeah. And so one of my guys from my car club went in there and just chewed them out. And they didn't stop. they just did their thing, and they're like, we're never coming back here. You people are blah, blah, blah. It was a big ordeal, so I'm glad I missed that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're planning more of those.
Yeah. All right, that's good enough. And also, I mean, if we're talking about projects in the garage, I'm remiss by not mentioning last episode's guest host, John Bassans.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel terrible. I should have wrote it into the materials here. We talked about him a little bit on the pre-show. Phenomenal show last. Well, hell, that was 2 weeks ago, Daryl.
Yeah,
that's like record material for us right there. But John invited us to the Shouse, or what do you call it?
I called it a barn dominium, but that's not the right word.
All right.
Shouse? What is a shouse?
It's a shop house.
That's more fitting.
It sounds kind of ugly, but anyway.
It sounds like Mouse House.
Yeah, we were invited to the Shouse, and if you haven't listened to the last episode, I highly recommend it. John, not only is he Central Illinois Batman, but he's got a lot of cool stuff, and you know what? He grew up in car culture, and he lives it, man. It's totally fun.
Great guy, super, super hospitable. John, we appreciate you reaching out. A lot of people have also said they enjoyed the show and were huge Batman fans growing up.
Yeah.
It's funny, too. We talked in the show about the different eras of Batman and kind of what Batman you're into, what Batmobile you like. But I've had two people reach out to me, and they're like, that was my favorite Batmobile, and it was so cool to hear a little bit more about somebody who actually built one.
Yes, absolutely. The dynamics of building one and everything he had to do as far as logistics. But my favorite part of that whole episode was he talked about going to the children's hospital, and the kid goes, "You're not really Batman." He goes,
he busts him out.
He goes, "I'm Batman." That was the best part of the whole episode for me. So
that was great.
Great show. So anyway, check that out if you have a chance, and make sure you follow Central Illinois Batman, where you'll see him at all the Central Illinois auto shows. He's pretty regular, and I want to see that tail end light on fire.
The flamethrower, the afterburner. He will fire that up at will. So
cool.
Yeah, really neat.
All right, this is a traditional Throwin Wrenches show. It's been a while, but the first segment of the show, well, actually a second, because the first was project. Second is news.
There we go. Hard hitting.
Yes. We used to have a button for that, but I don't even.
It's buried somewhere. We'll figure it out.
It's like lost technology to us, and we're like,
You should just you need to have like a kazoo or something and just make your own.
Right. All right. So let's go to world news. I don't know, guys. We talk so much about Nissan and Honda and Mitsubishi. We were all gung ho on this giant partnership.
Yeah. What happened?
It's all gone to hell, Daryl.
Oh, great.
So this comes from the Wall Street Journal. Nissan to reject the Honda deal to create the world's number 3 automaker. Nissan's board has determined that Honda's terms for a combination of the two automakers are unacceptable. People familiar with the matter said endangering the merger plan designed to shore up the Nissan faltering business. In a statement, Nissan said no decision had been reached, but one option under discussion was scrapping its December agreement with Honda to aim for a merger. Both automakers said talks were continuing, and they aimed to announce their direction in mid-February. This is bad news. First off, Mitsubishi is like gone.
Yeah, they're just off the table.
Yeah, exactly.
What's Nissan's biggest concern?
Well, I've been reading some stuff like our old buddy Carlos.
Yeah.
We haven't seen much of Carlos lately. He was calling it a shadow takeover. And I think also Honda had a problem with Renault having 35% ownership in Nissan, and that would be a controlling interest that would be hard for them to deal with as they progress in the relationship. Okay. It's like having an ex maybe has a kid with you.
Yeah.
Or you marry a woman with a kid.
A kid.
Yeah, but then there's the ex-husband maybe that has a little bit more control of the relationship.
You might have to deal with that.
Yeah. That happens.
Interesting. Nissan they're no stranger to like joint ventures and stuff, though. That's the other weird thing.
Nissan?
Yeah. I mean,
well, it's like they've been passed around like cheap prom date.
Exactly. So, I mean, stability of Honda. I would want the steady Eddie of Honda.
You think?
I would. But that's, at my point, that's what I'm looking for.
It's funny that Nissan might have more of a problem with Honda than Honda has with. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's two-way street there because Honda's basically saying they don't want the Renault aspect.
Yeah.
But Honda has the money. Why don't they buy out the Renault portion, right?
Nobody wants a French automaker. I think there's that one small piece of the puzzle.
You would take a Renault if you could get your hands on it.
I would. Yeah. Shoot. I want to bring back the glory days of the car.
Glory days.
Of the Encore.
They'll pass you by.
The Renault Alliance.
Yeah, no, those are all terrible cars, Daryl.
What are you talking about?
Everybody knows. Everybody knows, okay?
A soft spot in my childhood. There was a lady on our street that had a little Renault Encore as a kid, and I thought it was the weirdest, ugliest car, and I had no clue what it was.
Yeah.
And that was for good measure because they were not long for this world.
They weren't. They didn't last very long in Central Illinois. It would be fun to find one in another part of the country that's in perfect shape.
Just like mid condition.
Yeah, exactly. The dashboard would probably be like rotted through from sun damage. But
Yeah.
anyway, this next one's a link. Did you want to try and click that link on Reuters? Can you?
Yeah, let's give that a whirl here.
Sorry, I know you got limited internet connection out here at the Studio A.
Bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop. Computing. All right. Redirecting. Here it is. All right. This one here is from Reuters, as Eric mentioned, by David Shepardson. U.S. moves to repeal Biden administration vehicle fuel economy standards. This was posted just about 2 weeks ago, but still relevant. New U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy signed an order on Tuesday directing U.S. regulators to rescind landmark fuel economy standards issued under President Joe Biden that aim to drastically reduce fuel use for cars and trucks. In a memo, Duffy directed the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, to reconsider the 2022 model year through 2031 model years for cars and trucks, those standards that were agreed upon. The agency in June said it could hike the corporate average fuel economy, or CAFE, requirements to about 50.4 miles per gallon by the year 2031. That's up from 39.1 miles per gallon, which is the current. Yeah,
that's huge.
That's a big, big leap for light-duty vehicles. So
yeah.
It doesn't apply to trucks and that kind of thing.
But I think it does apply to all fleets, though. That was part of the CAFE standard. So
right,
if you're a manufacturer who had trucks and cars, you had to abide by that.
Duffy recently took office and also directed NHTSA to reconsider rules for heavy-duty pickup trucks and vans through the year 2035. He had a big statement there. I'm not going to read, but
no, that's okay.
Basically, that's kind of what the goal is a little bit of pushback on some of those, some would say, aggressive moves to increase those fuel economy standards. Duffy, real quick, by the way, famous for being on MTV Road Rules.
Yeah,
just want to throw that out there.
He became a lawyer after that, right,
yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
no.
Both him and his wife, I believe, were on Road Rules. So interesting to go from Road Rules to actually being in charge of all transportation.
I mean, in all things considered, it's not like some geriatric boomer age politician.
Right.
We're talking about somebody that maybe millennials could get behind.
Right. Or that understands,
or that hated Jersey Shore, and you probably hate him too. So who knows?
Maybe. What do you think about that, though? What do you think about?
So I think the thing about CAFE. I mean, you saw that they wanted to be up to 50 MPI by 2031, and that also played into the hand of EVs, right, and
right.
hybrid cars. So.
And somewhat aligned, actually, a little sooner timeline than a lot of the European nations were going full EV.
Yeah.
The 2035 was that was the big deadline for a lot of countries, a lot of manufacturers starting to do that. So this is actually an attempt to, the Biden administration tried to get out ahead of some of that stuff. But I don't know. I see some of that getting rolled back.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it's just the flavor right now of politics. If America can pump, but it's so weird because you're like, oh, we're going to pump a bunch of oil, so it's going to be cheaper. Well, then the Saudis be like, oh, we're not going to pump as much oil, so we'll just manipulate the price. And same thing with Russia.
We've been there before.
Yeah, we have. So there's never a silver bullet like we're going to make so much oil and gas that price is going to go down.
Right.
That never works that way. So
No.
it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next decade. I think the economics, this is one of those situations where I think that the Milton Friedman version of economics pays off, where the market will determine what people want to buy.
Yeah.
I think ultimately people will buy cars that get better fuel economy. If you have two cars sitting side by side that are essentially the same and they're the same price, and I can save fuel economy with one car, people are going to buy that car. And so manufacturers like Honda and Toyota and Nissan, if they have cars that get 10 miles per gallon better, people are going to buy those cars. If they're sitting next to something else, it's worse.
It becomes one of those differentiating sales points where somebody looks at that and they can actually save money in some way.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're in a different spot than we were, I think, kind of the last couple of go-arounds of this, where, people still like their SUVs, but they're not like the SUVs that people can buy already have new tech baked into it. They're not like the Ford Excursion and the Chevy Suburban that get 8 miles per gallon, and people are just going to, drill, baby, drill, and drive there, whatever. The tech is already gone. Like, you can't really find a brand new pickup, full-size pickup here in the States, unless you're going into like a full-on 3/4 ton and above. You can't find a half-ton truck that's got a V8 and abysmal mileage.
Yeah.
Ford, you can still get a V8. Dodge, you can get a V8, but those are displacement on demand. They baked all kinds of stuff in there. Chevy, they're kind of making it harder to get.
But think about this. What if the Trump administration's very aggressive on like rolling back everything that would appear to be green.
Yeah.
What if they say we don't have to do DEF anymore?
At all?
Yeah.
You think diesel makes a big splash?
I don't know. Think about that possibility. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now where people are like, I'll get a gas motor, or diesel's not efficient, or it costs me a lot of money to run a diesel truck.
Yeah.
And I think, was it the Biden administration that made it illegal to tune your diesels and stuff like that?
No, they definitely there was a lot more restrictions.
We roll this stuff back. By the time you and I do another show in a couple weeks, everything could change.
That's true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You never know. I find it'll be difficult for the manufacturers to adjust. And should they? Like if that's the trend, if the trend is people are still going to use, and as consumers, they're going to try to find something that is a better, got better mileage and a little bit greener. I still think buying something that is environmentally, better, friendlier, whatever. It's kind of like, me getting my Diet Coke when I got my
your slice of Casey's pizza.
I feel better about that, and I still think that there's some sort of sales. There's some weight behind that.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. I definitely, to your point, a couple weeks from now, sky's the limit. Who knows where we'll end up? So,
right.
What's this next story here?
Oh man, Mazda is rocking. I guess Jim Shear's probably happy about that, right? Mazda's highest sales in 40 years. This is from Automotive News. Increased throughput across Mazda's dealer network helped the Japanese automaker achieve its highest sales numbers in nearly 4 decades. 4 decades, dude. Wow. That makes me think they must have been selling a lot of Nissans back in the 90s, right?
Or Mazdas, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what did I say? Nissans?
Nissans, yeah.
I'm all about Nissans.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. Mazda is focused on pushing more sales through the current dealerships rather than trying to add on more dealers for growth, said Rob Sickle, the chairman of Mazda National Dealer Advisory Council. He told the Automotive News after the automaker held its virtual franchise meeting on January 30th that the Mazda has 545 dealers in its network. In 2024, they sold an average of 669 vehicles. That's up from 625 in 2023. Sickle said 21 dealers topped sales of 2,000 vehicles last year.
It's a lot.
It is. I mean,
you've seen a lot more on the roads. I've certainly noticed more.
No, I don't know. Mazda actually teamed up with Toyota, so the Corolla Cross right now is built at a joint operation in Mississippi, I think, or Alabama, one of those long states down by Florida.
Yeah.
So that's a joint factory, and Mazda's pretty much jumped in with Toyota on hybrid technology because they obviously are too small of a company to do that. So it'll be interesting to see, where it goes.
Yeah. Now I've known a couple people that when they went shopping last year, they looked hard at Mazda and they bought, and they were very happy with them.
Well, and I will say, I think Shear does a good job here locally. I don't know what it's like in other towns. I mean, it's funny when you get somebody like a local, I don't want to say a celebrity, but a small business owner. Let's think about Sherman's. Let's think about, companies that are iconic with their name.
Yeah.
Shear has been around for a long time in the Peoria area. I think Jim Shear does a good job of advertising Mazda. I'm not sure about but they do Volvo. They had Lincoln, and so I think in our area, I always think they do better here than maybe somewhere else. But I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, they seem to be doing. They're holding their own, which is great.
I wrote this next headline, Daryl. That was not what Auto Dealer Today said.
No, that's not. There's. Go ahead and read it.
No, you don't want it.
Those Super Bowl ads won't pay for themselves. Insurance rates are up. This is from Auto Dealer Today.
Strong headline. It's a strong headline.
Again, Eric wrote that one, so you can
with the spelling error.
No, you're fine. I should have pre-read it. Anyways, those Super Bowl ads won't pay for themselves. Insurance rates are up. Sure, there's no correlation there. Car insurance rates are expected to continue to rise this year, though at a slower pace. Rates climbed 15% across the country last year and have jumped a cumulative 42% since 2022. Yeah, 42% in 3 years, folks.
Can you read that again a third time?
42% increase in 3 years, according to insurance comparison shopping website Insurify, which forecasts a 5% rate increase this year to a national average full coverage rate of $2,435 by the end of 2025. So that's what they're saying, almost $2,500 to full coverage insure your stuff.
42%. I mean, so if my average is $2,400, that means like last year it was $1,800.
Yeah,
or 3 years ago or whatever. Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Holy smokes, man!
Everybody starts looking and like, did I have a claim? Did my stuff get ripped off? Did my neighbor get ripped off? Like, why are my rates going up?
Before on the pre-show, you and I talked about the average cost of a new car. How much was that?
$49,000 is the median cost of a new car.
Angela, my wife, got a brand new Prius this year, and the windshield has, the 3 cameras on it?
Yeah.
And if you get a rock chip anymore and you got a windshield, $1,200?
Right.
Yeah, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Technology.
Fender bender, it's $9,000.
Yeah.
Used to be $1,500, now it's $9,000. But the Super Bowl ads, I do want to touch on that because State Farm's been all over it, right? Like, we're such a good neighbor, and we're going to help those who are in need and our clients. Yeah. And we're going to pull out of the Super Bowl.
It's so good of them.
Yeah.
This will help pay for 1 or 2 houses in Malibu.
Bless their hearts. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it used to be, how much is a Super Bowl ad, right?
Well, you know what? Yeah. Well, you Google that. I don't remember what it is now, but is it 15 seconds is the minimum? I think you can. I don't think you can buy like a 30 seconds. I think it's 15.
It's $8 million for 30 seconds. So that's so for every 5 seconds they can maybe get a house in California covered.
Holy cow!
Yeah, what's the point?
It's a drop in the bucket. But also, you were saying too in the pre-show, we riffed on State Farm and others.
You got to tune into that pre-show, folks.
I feel like, do you feel bombarded? Besides pharmaceuticals, I feel like insurance and cell phones are just the 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
And do we really need to be busting our humps that much to market insurance to people when things like, I don't know, car insurance is mandatory?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just get in a car and just drive.
You know how many times I get on like Facebook and somebody's like, does somebody know the name of a good insurance agent? Or, I need a cheap rate, or I need a plumber.
No.
It's word of mouth means a lot to a lot of people, right?
I agree.
I mean, when I was younger, it was always like, my daddy had a Ford, I'm going to buy a Ford. My daddy had State Farm, I'm going to State Farm.
Yeah.
It's not the same anymore.
I come from a Ford family.
Yeah. We're Country Company's family.
Yeah.
It's not the same anymore. It's, a Geico or Progressive. And I will sit there and I'll if anybody comes into my office at the dealership and says, what's the best insurance company to do business with?
Do you send them to a broker?
No, but I will tell them that State Farm and companies like that are actually the worst for us to deal with. Because when they become so big, they're the guys who can tell us what to do.
Right.
And at that point, they don't care about the customer.
Right.
They just want to get done as cheaply as possible because they have that kind of leverage. So those aren't the companies you want to be with.
Yeah. And like anything else, you probably should shop around every so often.
You definitely should shop. Yeah.
I learned that lesson hard. I had Progressive for way too long, and I finally switched, and I'm like, what the heck? But it's just one of those things, just like switching homeowners. It's daunting. It's one of those things nobody likes to.
No,
let me gather all my stuff.
It's,
I'd rather schedule a spleen cleansing.
Is that an option?
I don't think so. Anyways, what do we got here in South Carolina?
That sounds South Carolina, man. I tell you what, they're conflicted. They're blocking Scout Motors' direct sales despite their $1.3 billion incentive. It's from Jacqueline Campbell and CBT News. I don't even know what CBT News is. I looked it up. They said they're all about the car business. I tried to figure out what CBT means. It could be cannabis. It could be cars. I don't know. But anyway, CBT News, look it up. Despite South Carolina granting Scout Motors $1.3 billion incentives to build its $2 billion EV plant in Blythewood, state residents won't be able to buy the company's vehicle when they hit the market in 2027. And that's due to state laws prohibiting direct sales, even though the 4,000 workers employed at the facility will have to go out. Even though they have 4,000 workers employed at the facility, they will have to go out of state to buy that Scout EV. Scout is owned by Volkswagen, and it's opted to do a direct-to-consumer model similar to Tesla and Lucid. aiming to provide more transparent and a cost-effective buying process. However, South Carolina is among 20 other states that mandate vehicles sold exclusively through dealerships, and other states similar have restrictions. Texas, Alabama, Arkansas, Connecticut, and Kansas, and North Carolina all allow direct sales. So this is a real deal. I mean, it's in Illinois too, right? You can't direct sale a Rivian, right?
I don't think so. But that is a model that is it's going to get blown up. I feel we talk about how things are changing and that quickly evolving, fast that we can keep pace. I think that's another one of those models that if
I always thought Amazon was going to sell. Did Amazon have like a Rivian direct page?
Oh, when they were like an early.
I thought they did.
Big partner? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd have to look online. I mean, we're in Illinois. Maybe we could never see it. But if I had a VPN and I said I was in Indiana.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Let me look at the states here. Texas, Alabama, Arkansas. So if I said it was in Arkansas and I went to Amazon.com and I looked up automobiles, could I buy a Rivian directly?
Maybe.
I don't know.
If you could order it through Amazon Prime with a delivery vehicle made by Rivian, I don't know. I'm not going to read this next article, but I did, we're doing like shorter links. It's funny. This goes back to Spotify and Amazon. iTunes. They do a much better job now of sharing our doc with the links. Oh, really?
So if you actually go into the episodes and you look, and you'll see the pictures and you see the links and stuff. So we'll try and put a link to this one. But Rivian and Scout had a lot of relationship dealings right now, and I think Volkswagen has bought into some of the Rivian technology, which led us to believe if you were to put a Scout beside a Rivian R1, you're like, those things are the same.
Pretty similar.
But they're not. The Volkswagen will be built in North Carolina, and, of course, Rivians are built here in Normal, Illinois.
And the Scout actually has, true to some of the other German EVs, they've got a range-extending gas motor.
Yes.
And I think that's where more people, it was like 80% or something when I read Motor Trend, somebody had it. Like 80% of people are still opting for the gas motor.
Yes,
But
yes.
It's a range extender. It's not a motor that you're going to drive across country.
It's like the Chevy Volt.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chevy Volt had a motor under the bonnet.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But it was basically a generator is what they called it. They didn't call it actually a motor because it was powering the EV system. So, and I think, there's a very small gas motor or whatever it is in the Scout.
What do you think of the Scout, though, personally? Like the design and just the overall everything?
I haven't studied enough. I'm excited about new technology, and I think it's cool that there's companies that are kind of working this angle, but I haven't figured out if it's viable yet. We worry so much about Rivian here.
Yeah.
That I can't. I mean, if I'm in North Carolina and they're talking about building a Scout factory, I'm like holding my breath. Right? We just hucked out $4 billion for this factory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hope it works out. You know. Yeah. Somebody's getting rich. It ain't me. That's how I always feel.
Maybe. I just like the name, and I'm just a sucker. It's another one of those pull at your heartstrings, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it reminds me of the International Scout, which has been dead for years.
Yeah.
It's just a name. It's just a badge.
Isn't it funny? I don't even know that name resonates with anybody.
A handful. I mean, it obviously does because they bought it.
It's a great name by itself. If you were to say you're going to build a Scout, you'd be like, oh, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
But I don't think guys who are 70 or 80 years old be like, I want to get myself a Scout. I had a Scout back when I was a kid, right? I mean, that name has been dead that long. It's missed like 2 generations.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Are we skipping this next one, going to local?
I kind of like this disruption article. I can read if you want.
Yeah. Go for it.
So this is from the Detroit Free Press. It's from Jackie Sharinga. Auto industry is bracing for further disruption in 2025, experts say. Tariff threats, affordability issues, and electric vehicle adoption hurdles are among the many dark clouds that are blocking projections for the 2025 auto industry landscape. Analysts, experts, and professionals from the auto industry spoke out about their concerns Wednesday at the 31st annual symposium hosted by the Detroit branch of the Federal Reserve Bank in Chicago, Illinois. What kind of an event is that, do you think, Daryl? I'd like to be invited to that.
It's an all-inclusive resort type of situation.
Do you think everybody's wearing a suit? Do you think anybody's dressing casual for that?
Probably not.
I guess not. Some of the key takeaways from the event include affordability. It remains a concern, particularly among the average monthly payments for vehicles, which now are $750, mostly from interest. The proliferation of Chinese vehicle brands, such as BYD Auto, it may depend on the federal policy and decisions more than consumer demand, and U.S. light vehicle sales and production are still recovering from the COVID-19 disruption. Kristen Desizik, I think that's a good way to say that. She's a policy advisor for the Federal Reserve Bank in Chicago. She told guests in assorted news media that everything is changing when it comes to the auto industry and the vehicles sold and what fuels them and the infrastructure needed to support these new fuel sources, the technologies that produce them, and how automakers produce them. The potential for disruption is absolute, but really, what else is new? What never changes that people need a car, said Desizik, and USA is a large country. And I think, ultimately, I even think about our show. We're always going to need cars.
Yeah.
We're always going to be talking about cars. There's never going to be a time where you and I would be like, well, the car's done.
That's it. No, that's actually a perfect closer because, what never changes is people need a car and they need to get places.
Yeah.
The how is a completely separate discussion.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, 2025 is going to be a weird year. And he'd been in the business 30 years. He'd been in the business longer than me. He's just 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
But he's been in the car business the whole time. I stepped out a few times. And he's like, yeah. And I said, with naive enthusiasm, this is going to be a weird year. He goes, Eric, every year is a weird year. You listen to the owners, you listen to the experts, you listen to everybody. Everybody's got, we got this, we got that, which is fine because we should all be aware of everything going on around us. But what's normal, I guess, what it boils down to. Is it a normal healthcare year, Daryl? Or is this going to be a weird healthcare year?
Yeah, hard to say.
Is it going to be the same? Everything is always weird.
Yeah. And I love, too, it's one thing to look at trends or look at historical trends and try to compare them to present day or future. Yeah. But nothing is like what it was. Everything evolves. Everything's different. The things that's the same are people. Mm-hmm. And, consumer behavior changes. How much we're willing to spend on things changes, finances, all that stuff, world market conditions, supply chain stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm here and I'm going to go here.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy something that makes me able to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't care what it costs. I don't care what percentage of my take home. I don't care how much of my monthly budget. I'm going to pay whatever it is I need to pay.
Yeah.
And I'll jump through whatever hoops I need to. I'll put hydrogen. I'll put rubbing alcohol in it. Whatever it is, I will get from A to B.
What about Malort?
That is, I think even a car would have a problem with that. Done. Just refuse to run. This stuff is heinous.
Have you done the Malort challenge? It's like a thing now lately.
I don't mind it, but it's pretty gross.
Yeah, it's because you're from Chicago.
Yeah, well, I just like bitter stuff. I like the taste of bile in my mouth.
You want to get into this long Rivian article here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Here we go. Speaking of Rivians, we talked a little bit about them, of course, and we do talk
They're in our backyard. We got to talk about them.
We have to. You can buy Rivian's van, but don't come a knocking on
RIVN.
I
apologize. I think that headline is a little
that's their stocked.
Hold
on.
Is, yeah.
I don't play the stock. I'm stupid. Anyways, you can come buy Rivian's van, but don't come a knocking on Rivian. The analyst warns, whatever. Terrible. Kit Norton from what
Investors Business Daily.
Thank you. I got a bone to pick with you. Rivian has made its all-electric commercial van available for sale to the general public after years of it only being available to Amazon.com. It's a true statement. I saw a bunch of white, with fresh kind of painted.
I think I saw them on the road on the trailer. Yeah.
Utility-looking ones right outside their facility last week. And I thought, oh, well, they're not Amazon, but they're the same van. Late Wednesday, the EV startup officially made the Rivian commercial van available with a starting price of $79,900. Delivery slated to begin in April of this year. There's two variants, a 500 series and a 700 series, with both getting around 160 miles of range. Not bad for something that big.
I don't know. That seems weak to me, but
they're
big. They are big.
Yeah, and I think that the VW ID Buzz gets like a 200-mile range, and it's like a quarter of the size of that damn thing. Right. So, Rivian signed an agreement with Amazon back in 2019 to design and develop electric commercial delivery vans and prioritize production of them ever since. The online marketplace ordered some 100,000 of Rivian's electric vans and said in December of 2024 it has 20,000 Rivian electric vans in its fleet. You might have seen them in your neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah. I see them in Chicago all the time. Don't see them so much around here.
Not a lot, but yeah,
The
definitely.
160-mile range, they probably focus on metros, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Amazon currently has 15.6% stake in Rivian, according to FactSet. However, Amazon's also looking elsewhere to electrify its fleet. Rivian, in November 2023, amended its agreement with Amazon to allow the EV startup to sell commercial vans to any other commercial customers. And at the end of the third quarter, Rivian said it expected Amazon to increase its delivery order of vans in Q4 and announced it had launched the Rivian commercial van platform for the commercial market. Meanwhile, Bernstein on January 28th initiated coverage of Rivian with an underperforming rating and a 610 price target, 52% below the current trading level.
I'll look up the current price here in the meantime for you.
Holy cow. Yeah, last I looked, it was around like $15 a share. The firm believes that Rivian has built a brand based on adventure and has the resources to scale it. That's
$12.80
good. Or
currently.
12
Yes.
$12.80. Buy yourself some Rivian stock. But it faces slower market growth, they said, and it faces rising competition and limits to the segments that its brand can address. That's key. That's key. Like you're only going to reach the people you're going to reach, and if they already have something they got, you're not going to.
Well, I saw Consumer Reports had their the best electric truck category.
Uh-huh.
And it was basically Rivian versus the Tesla Cybertruck, right?
Yeah, and I've seen somebody else had one, and they gave like the stupid Chevy Silverado EV.
Oh, yeah. And the
know.
Ford Lightning, I guess, falls in there, too.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, so that gives a little more credence to the Rivian to me.
Yeah.
Because it's going up against Ford Lightning. And to me, I'm thinking the one with the dealer network and the established brand is probably the stronger model, right?
One would think, although the sales of that the Lightning didn't pan out.
Yeah.
And even Ford was trying to double back and be like, yeah, we're going to reevaluate. Between that and the Mach-E,
Yeah.
I think Ford's EV future is kind of like on the cutting room, drawing. What was I trying to say? Drawing table. They're back at the drawing table.
Yeah, they're back to square one.
Thank you.
Back.
Whatever.
Well,
Anyways, I do want to throw this out here. The Bernstein analyst wrote, Rivian can succeed in its plan to reach more than 500,000 units by 2030, but that financial success for shareholders is not a given. And Rivian's break-even is, quote, years away, and the company is still facing mounting risks.
Yeah.
So
It's tough. And again, we want to root for nothing but success for Rivian because they're in our backyard. They hire, I think I saw 4,000 employees at that Scout plant or something, but I mean, it's got to be that many people here in Rivian, right?
Yeah, I don't have a number off.
And all the ancillary companies, and think of all the homeowners in Bloomington Normal and stuff who bought houses. It was funny. I talked to a guy who was a service manager at a store in Bloomington, and he had two technicians that came on board with him. One had moved from Hawaii because they'd come to Rivian.
Oh, wow.
They'd worked for a year at Rivian. They said, "Oh, this sucks," and then they took a job at the local service garage in Bloomington. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that's different. That's a different
What a
path.
strange trip, right?
Yeah, I guess. I do hope that things continue to look up, and it's good. It's good to see them take risks. I just still want to see more out there in the marketplace.
Yeah,
and I don't know what that's going to
hey,
take.
$79,000. I think that's what they charge for a regular R1, right?
Honestly, I think it's a little more than that, but not much.
Yeah.
I think for a while they were in the upper 60s.
I wonder how long it takes to charge those on a Class 2 charger. I wonder.
The big vans?
Yeah, I mean, 160 miles of range is kind of a misnomer because, normally, like our RAV4 EV from 2012, the Tesla, if you were to charge that for its 100 miles range, it would take 4 to 6 hours. But to push that much vehicle around for 160 miles, does it take 10 hours or 12 hours? I mean, how long does that thing have to charge? So,
love to hear.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we do a Throwin Wrenches Rivian van?
Maybe.
Probably not.
I wouldn't mind it. It could haul whatever. It could haul our gear. It could probably fit a car in there. I don't know.
Yeah,
they're cool looking.
I think the van, the moving van,
yeah,
they did a good job on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has tiny little wheels though. Have you noticed that? It
does, and probably the low rolling resistance tires.
No, I guarantee it's all done with purpose, right?
Yeah,
it's purpose built, Terrell.
I think somebody, a mutual friend of ours, talked about. I think those are quad motors. I think those things haul.
Oh, really? It's a quad motor on that big.
I think so.
Okay,
because I don't know how much a weight their capacity or what do you want to call them, payload rating and stuff would be. But I think they do. I think they put 4 motors in those things.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. So next article, I had Supercar News Search. I'm not going to go into this because honestly, it was a rabbit hole. And my Supercar News Search, it was about the Ferrari blacklist. And this article was written in 2023, but it was about how, and the most recent article that pulled me towards this was about how Ferrari was being more selective about who they sell cars to. And I had no idea that, but if you put a stripe on a Ferrari, if you do anything to a Ferrari and then advertise it, Ferrari may not sell you one of their exclusive cars. I didn't know that was an option.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, obviously, they're not capitalists. They're Italians. They do what they want. So I don't know. It was the most bizarre thing. And Car Buzz had an article from 2023. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to go down the list of things that basically makes you on the wanted list by Ferrari.
Okay.
And I tell you now, this would become a whole episode by itself.
Yeah.
It's pretty great stuff. So maybe we can visit this sometime in the future.
Yeah, let's dig into it because I do find that interesting. I know there were certain rules for, what was it? The Ford GT years ago when that came out.
And that made sense. If you buy one, you're not allowed to flip it. Right?
They gave you, you had to keep it a year. There was all kinds of stuff. And then John Cena got sued.
Yeah, he did.
He got sued because he violated whatever the terms were. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So the Ferrari thing doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Because it is, it's a very elite brand and they want to protect it. And, But then I've also seen some Ferraris painted pink. And
that was I think that's one of the no-nos.
I think so too. I think there's certain colors you can't do stuff with or wrap or I don't even know. I would love to find out what the no-nos are. What's on the naughty list? So
anyway, so we'll get into that another time when when it's a dead news week, Daryl. We'll get right into that.
Our investigative team will.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, Daryl, I don't know if you know this or not, but
Probably
sometimes
not.
I get online. And I look for cars.
Do you really?
I do. It's the craziest thing. And then what I do,
weird.
And I swear to God, I've done this before. Maybe our listeners have done this too. I got so hyped up on a car online. Maybe I messaged somebody and I said, "Is that car still there?" I have no intention of buying the car. I'm a total stroke, as we call it in the car business.
Oh no!
But I just got to know: is this car still out there? The worst is when they put a Facebook ad out and they say, "If it's still listed, it's still for sale."
Or my favorite, I will not respond to. Is this available? Of course you will, because I'm going to message you and I'm going to ask just that.
Exactly. That's Cars of the Week, folks. Cars of the Week is where we're so weak that even though Daryl and I have a plethora of cars to choose from, I could walk out the back door of my house any day of the week, and I could choose from a half dozen vehicles to drive.
True statement.
Yes. But instead, I'm still fawning over vehicles online. And generally, they're not the most auspicious vehicles. That's a true story.
What was I think you hyped this up tonight. Because on the way over,
I told you this might be my best pick in a while.
You said, quote, "This might be my best pick."
Yeah.
In the history of the show.
No, I didn't say history. I say history of the show. That's a bold statement.
Instead of all of recorded history
of Throwin Wrenches. 98 episodes of Throwin Wrenches. Did we start off the show with Cars of the Week? I don't think we did.
No, I don't think we did either.
I think that one came in later.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, this is Cars of the Week, folks. And I know you've all done the same thing I just described. So, all right, Daryl. This one wasn't easy. But once I found this car, it became super easy.
I'm going to scroll down and look at what you have.
All right, there you
go. Word.
Look at this little guy. Aren't you in love with it already? Here's the thing. I've now become... There was a time years ago we used to think it was kind of fun to write a Facebook ad that was kind of humorous and maybe roped you in because there was so much personality in the person who was selling the car to you.
Yeah.
And then I think that became passé, or maybe people just become lazy. But whoever's selling this 1969 Fiat 500, well, let me tell you, this guy has stepped up his game, okay? It is a beautiful cherry red. It's $16,250. It's in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's driven 4,000 miles, has a manual transmission, and it has a beautiful black interior, and it's a gas motor. It's in excellent condition, according to the seller. But let me read this description to you, because these are so much fun. Daryl's reading ahead. Stop reading ahead.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I'll listen.
Divorced, single, lonely, confidence taking a hit, Never fear, help is here. Cancel that Bumble account, put away those ED pills, and grab this once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity for permanent mojo.
Wow.
In fact, once finished digesting this advert, I suggest hitting up a furniture store and acquiring a new bed. You can transport it home in your size substitution pickup and prepare to embrace your new life. Here in sunny Broad Ripple. Broad Ripple is a nice little neighborhood in Indianapolis. I offer you this fine 1969 classic Fiat 500, imported by myself from Naples, not Florida. It's Italy. This has been my occasional daily driver, and I am hoarse from shouting, I have a girlfriend. Powered by an eager 495cc engine, it delivers power to the rear 12-inch wheels via an agricultural 4-speed gearbox. And it's fun, and it's attention for sure. Proud. I'm sorry. He did such a good job at the initial bump, but then it gets a little convoluted here. Proud in Ferrari red with a black interior, and the bodywork is in perfect shape. It drives as smooth as your new girlfriend's. Can I say this?
I think it's in the ad. You have to.
My new girlfriend's panties. Oh.
Those don't drive.
Like a clown looking for a circus, I've decided reluctantly to part with it. That makes no sense, sir. I call you out. If it's listed, it is available. Is it available? Will be ignored. Low ballers will be forwarded to the mojo gods, and you will forever sleep alone. This is my pick of the week, Daryl.
I'll tell you what. This is a bold statement.
Yeah.
But also, it's a bold car. And you're not going to take a Fiat 500 in that classic, original shape, a bright red, probably has a cool, cute little exhaust note on it. You're not going to go anywhere unnoticed in that car.
True story.
So I think that copy and that ad matches the car with the personality of who wants to have that car.
How old do you think the guy is if he's still writing about panties? And he's got to be
72 years old. Probably 72 years old. I think so. Yeah. You know what? I couldn't get the laugh correct. But I honestly think that this thing would be fun to buzz around town. I could see you in it. It's got the rollback canvas.
You got to see the full ad for this because the condition is beautiful. And so
paint's gorgeous.
I look at the number 16250 and I'm like, can you put a number on this car in a good condition, right?
Honestly, you're going to pay, even if you found one here in the States, which they're slim, you're going to pay a decent amount of money. The better option would be to find a nicely restored one from overseas. Kind of get the genuine article, right? Where parts are probably a little easier. It's probably mechanically a little bit better because people probably know how to work on them better. Yeah. So if you plucked one from Naples, Italy, not Florida, as he said, you're going to pay all that money. And it's just, this is a go-to turnkey car.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you want. Having said that, 495cc motor. That's a dinky motor.
Oh, it's a little air-cooled guy in the back of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you?
Who cares?
Yeah, but you like speed?
I drive a 4Runner. I'm used to slow. And my favorite vehicle in my garage is a 97 4-cylinder Tacoma.
I was going to ask how Little Buell's going to take this. If you add another stablemate.
Well, the nice thing is I think it'll fit where the mower sits. So
it probably would. Would you seriously, if you had something like this, you and Angela go drive around like a summer fun car?
See, and that's the worst part. The Celica that we own, the convertible, is far more practical because I know it's reliable.
You can drive on a highway.
Yeah. I would drive this. Okay. So I've never been to Ardor, but let's just pretend I went to Ardor as a regular.
Yeah.
Or I went down to Zion Coffee.
Uh-huh.
I drive this down there and just kind of noodle around downtown Peoria.
Have like a beret.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a beret would be good.
Just gnawing on a baguette. You know what? I think for $16,250 and to deal with whoever wrote this ad temporarily, I think that's well worth the time and money you would invest with the amount of pleasure you'd get out of this vehicle.
I think this would be the most fun thing I've looked at in a long time.
You'd have to play like really obnoxious music, like like Italian
I got
chase
some
music.
Some guys I follow on like Instagram who play the guitar almost like a flamenco style but Italian.
Yeah,
so absolutely.
And every
or maybe a lot of Dean Martin.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
get some old vintage Dino in there.
Yeah.
I think this is a great pick. Fantastic headline as far as like. In your pantheon of cars of the week, this ad is one of the best, if not the best. And the car, it's a top
still
three.
for sale because the ad is still up.
Unbelievable.
All right,
Nicely
now
done.
and let's look and see what Daryl got.
Thanks. Can't top that one. And for whatever reason, my image isn't sharing.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. But if you
It
click
must
the
be
link,
like a copyright issue.
it probably is. This one is it's oddly enough, it keeps coming up into my feed, and it comes into my feed often enough to where I'm like, why haven't I bought this yet? The reason is it's a lot of money, and I don't have it. But it is a 1957 Oldsmobile 88. It's actually not a hardtop. It is a two-door sedan. And the reason that it's not a hardtop is it's got that post, that pillar, in between the door and the back seat. And the reason why this is interesting to me is it's a kind of a pared down, simpler, cheaper version of an Olds 88. It's not a Super 88. It's not a 98. It's the kind of entry-level Oldsmobile that you really didn't see a whole lot of back in the day.
I'm finding a whole bunch of these. What color are you looking at?
Click the link there.
Which one?
It's in the doc.
Oh, sorry,
You'll
you
see.
have okay.
Yeah, sorry, I linked to it. It's kind of a turquoise because or like a light
That's
robin's egg blue.
Classic for 1957.
Yeah. And this is a full size car. Olds, of course, came out with the 88 in 19
Oh,
something,
this is pretty.
late 40s, early 50s. And yeah, these cars were really neat. The fact is, I love the roofline on the 57 Olds because it has kind of a 3-part back window, and you can't really see it unless you go through all the images and stuff. But it's a pretty car. Richard Petty, kind of
great one,
or Lee Petty actually. Lee Petty used to race one of these bad boys back in the day, and raced for Oldsmobile before he went into Mopar. And these cars were actually pretty well built. They were a 371 Rocket V8, which is kind of the second iteration of the original Olds Rocket. It made 277 horsepower, and with you could put a different cam intake. You could hop these things up, and they actually would blow the tires off really, really well. Hydromatic trans, so nice, good shifting, reliable drive line in these things. And the color on this one, it's called Banff Blue, and it is more like a robin's egg than a turquoise. It's a very, very pretty car.
Is this original paint?
It's been repainted.
Okay.
It's been repainted. It's actually it's a 2-owner car.
And that'd be common. I mean, to find original paint on a car that old would be shocking, right?
Most of the time, yeah. Most of the time, these things were actually, they've been through some stuff. This one was actually a nice 2-owner car that somebody put a little TLC into. The reason it's for sale, it's up in Sterling, Illinois, which isn't that far from us here in central Illinois. It's at a little place like a hole in the wall called Sterling Motors, and it's just been sitting for sale. It's inside, but I think the reason that this has not sold is because it's not a splashy 2-door hardtop coupe or a convertible. I think it's because it's kind of a base model, but who cares? Base models need love too. That's what I'm saying, Eric. I think you
don't think the $18,000 price tag has anything to do with it?
All right. Well, it's $18,000 is the asking price, and I think people have asked what's your lowest you could take, and it hasn't budged, which is why it's also been for sale for many months. But honestly, if you were to buy a 57 Chevy 2-door sedan like this restored, you'd be looking at $25,000-$30,000 in that condition. But because it's an Oldsmobile, it's cheaper. I think the Oldsmobile obviously is a better car. I think it's bigger, it's more roomy, bigger motor. I think it's a better highway car, and it's something that if you pull into a cruise night anywhere in the U.S. on a Saturday night in the summer, you'll probably see 4 or 5 57 Chevys, somewhere around that. There'll at least be 2. Okay, nobody's going to have a 57 Olds. You're going to be the only dude, and people are going to be like, that's cool.
Nobody's going to know the difference, Daryl.
Probably not. In a couple years, probably not. But this thing, I don't know. It spoke to me.
It's a beautiful car, and it kind of, here's the thing. What was that car that you bought and hauled out of your garage?
Which one? Oh, that 58 Plymouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the 58 Plymouth, except that I think that had bigger wings on it.
Yeah.
And it had that
goofy,
that horrible paint.
Yeah, you didn't like the gold? You didn't like the
No,
gold
it
and
didn't.
white?
It didn't scream original.
Yeah.
I think the other thing about this, and I do appreciate the amount of work these guys put into it, but it's a 100,000-mile car.
Yeah.
And do you think that's better in some ways because the person drove it a lot?
there's two schools of thought. There's some people that are all obsessed about, super low miles, got to be original.
I don't think that's always good either.
I don't either, because it says to me that the thing's sat.
Yeah.
And mechanically probably is not in that great a shape. I would much rather have a higher mileage car that's been maintained and documented. And driven. Because that way somebody had to keep it up to keep it on the road. And that's how I've always operated. Even with the old cars. The old cars, like high mileage stuff doesn't scare me. I've happened to wind up with really low mileage original cars that still need work. But honestly, if I saw something like that and it was on its third motor or something like that, but I knew the rest of the car, somebody's gone through the suspension, gone through the brakes, they've gone through any and everything that you would need to, and these things are infinitely rebuildable. That's the other thing I love about old cars is you get to a certain point with some of this new stuff. If there's unibody rust or structural stuff, like the car's toast. Nobody's going to be cutting and splicing a unibody and, whereas these things, anything body on frame, like you can always rebuild it.
Yeah.
Unless you crash it, you can rebuild it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, as you know, that Chrysler you had, you had a bunch of pieces. You went out and kind of sought out parts too.
I did.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I'm like, I'm not a body man. Bye-bye. And then I sold it. I do regret it. I do regret selling that. Sometimes.
I think you've had some great projects since then. Between the Cadillac and the Plymouth, you've had some great cars in the garage.
Cars are a little further along.
Yeah, exactly.
They actually run and drive. Almost.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, okay, so now this begs a question, and I think this is for you, dear listener, because Daryl and I have presented two cars that I would argue are very close in price and vintage, and which doesn't happen very often. Normally I find something completely kooky and modern, and Daryl, or vice versa, I find something really old and cool, and Daryl finds something kooky and new. I think you usually get kooky, not me. I don't get the kooky stuff.
No, yours is totally normal.
Yeah, exactly.
What was
But which one would you choose, dear listener? Would you choose the 1969 Fiat with the amazing story? Also includes some creepy painting comments, or would you get the 1957 Oldsmobile 88 in Sterling, Illinois, in a beautiful turquoise paint? The paint is gorgeous with the white walls. It's
pretty.
beautiful. It's a beautiful car.
It looked good with your trailer. It could put a trailer hitch on it.
Yeah, I could pull my camper with it, right?
Yeah.
It probably has as much towing capacity as my truck.
Yeah, it would do okay.
Which one would you get? So we'll post both those pictures on throwinwrenches.com. You can take a look and see what you think. All right, so
Is it about that time?
it is about that time. We got about time to saddle up and head out, Daryl.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Time to hit the dusted trail.
This has been fun. You know what? I'm going to call it. I don't normally do this, but next episode we're going to have Preston on from Central Illinois Cars and Coffee.
Look forward to that. He's definitely a fixture in the Central Illinois car scene. A huge person that behind all of the events and the planning and the sponsorships and the.
I would call him modest. You say he has a ton of influence on everything that goes on around us.
He does,
but I would almost say he kind of flies under the radar. Unless you know who Preston is, he's not that guy that's in your face like, hey, we got stuff going on.
That's very true. And every one of the Cars and Coffees we go to, we stop and talk to him like, a regular person.
Yeah.
It's not like, he's not unapproachable or anything like that. Yeah. He's a great dude. Love to introduce you guys to him if you haven't met him yet.
Yeah.
And if you have, and you just kind of want to know what makes him tick.
He will talk to anybody. He's a great dude. So I'm looking forward to it. I talked to Preston, and I think he was ready to do a show tonight. So I had to be like, no, man, Daryl and I have to have our time.
It's our private time. No,
no. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll talk about Cars and Coffee. Of course, the first Cars and Coffee of the year will be happening in April, so that'll be coming up here pretty soon anyway. So it'll be perfect timing.
Yeah, we're ready to get the year planned for sure for the car culture, for the local events, and of course, it's going to be autocross season. So I'd like to see what you wind up doing with that X-Runner.
Maybe we can get Dino or Jason Daly back on the show too. We'll see. Yeah, we're into both those guys in the last couple of weeks. If you have any questions about Central Illinois Cars and Coffee, we'd love to entertain those. So if you want to email those at info@throwinwrenches.com, certainly go there. You can also follow Daryl on Instagram at Throwin Wrenches, or you can follow me at Planet Stall. Always a good time on the Instagram and the socials. So we appreciate your support. We appreciate you following along. So again, for episode 98,
getting close.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in 100.
Confetti drops from the ceiling. I've seen it.
Have you?
No. Not yet.
I'm going to pop a cork and like knock out somebody's back of their retina.
Right. champagne everywhere and just shorts out the board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be the best way to end the show. Anyway, so episode 100's coming up. That's who knows what we'll do. We appreciate your support through the years. This is Eric.
I'm Daryl.
We'll see you next time. Bye.